One of my earliest YouTube discoveries was that of skepticism. I discovered fascinating talks by guys like Michael Shermer and Ben Gillette.
And that kind of error, that false positive, that's superstition. That's magical thinking. That's assuming A is connected to B. It's a true pattern and it isn't, and you're wrong. The application of science and reason to solving political problems, economic problems, social inequalities, and so on. We're using reason to solve those problems rather than the witch theory.
What intelligent design offers is not a scientific explanation. It's just a statement that we can't figure out how to explain this through science, so let's just say an intelligence did it.
I saw videos by guys like Bennetts that baffled the mind.
If you don't mind, hold your hand out like this, okay? I'm going to take this. No. Just put your fingers together. Okay, I'm going to put that in your hand like that. Close your hand on it. Okay? Bring your hand right about there. Okay. Now, this is what's going to happen. You're going to feel something weird happening in your hand. It might be like a pulsing or pushing something, but this is what's going to happen. It's going to start to get soft, almost like plastic in your hand. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. The moment you think, you feel something. Good. The moment you think you feel something happening in your hand, I want you to let me know, and you will feel something. Something will start to happen. Here we go, very slowly. It's not much. Here we go, slowly. Here we go, a little more. Can you actually feel something, or are you just kidding?
No, I feel something.
Okay, good. I'm going to take a hold of your wrist. And now I'm going to take the fork like this, and watch what happens. It becomes soft, almost like plastic. See that?
Yeah.
Can you feel that? I mean,
I can feel it.
It's like plastic, isn't it? Yeah? I'll tell you what, let go of it for a second. Cup your hands out like this. Cup your hands out, both hands. Watch what happens. Watch right here. Watch. It's become soft, almost like plastic. Like, there we go. Look at that. Can you see that? I mean, it's. Let's see if I can get to actually break. Here we go.
Ah!
And then, of course, there's James Randi, whose confrontational nature will at times throw some people off, but whose charm and wit will eventually win most people over. Well, most honest, good-natured, well-meaning people, anyway. But for the true practitioners of spooky BS and hokey pseudoscientific quackery, those people, Randi truly pisses them off. Which I have always found to be hilarious.
Come here. You're offering $5,000 to people that say people are fakes. You said Doris Stokes is a fake. You say Uri Geller's a fake. You came here and you've given everybody a lot of lip service. And you haven't done anything except show us a lot of tricks that you learned out of your two-bit act that you're not working in. You did so. You said he was a fake. You called him a two-bit magician. You said he was a fake, and you said he didn't. I'm not defending Uri Geller. What I am defending is you. You come over here with this big reputation. You give us a lot of lip service about all this stuff that you're going to prove. You go against a lady like Doris Stokes who never harmed anybody in her whole life, and you call her a charlatan and a fake.
You know a great deal about it.
Yes, I do. You said that she was a liar on the radio. You called her a liar.
No.
And that woman wouldn't lie to anybody. And I don't know whether she's right or wrong, but she wouldn't lie to anybody. We're going for a commercial break, and you can off.
Next guest is no stranger to controversy. He's the world's #1 skeptic. He's made a living out of exposing frauds and charlatans who claim they have psychic ability, and he's managed to upset the odd person along the way. His name is, of course, James Randi, and he joins us from Melbourne, where he's a guest of the Australian Skeptics Association, and here in the studio to potentially lock horns with him is the president of the Australian Psychics, Simon Turnbull. How are you, Simon?
How much money did they award the man that I defamed?
They awarded Uri $4,500 in Japan in March this year.
That's not my question.
And you have to pay Uri $4,500 for another court case you lost in Japan for insulting him in Japan.
First of all, would you answer my previous question? Let's take them one at a time.
And they took you to court and you lost.
Let's try the questions one at a time. Have you an answer?
There's only one question. You're a liar.
As far as the actual fraudsters go, I have always felt like there are some who know exactly what they are doing, and what they are doing is running a scam. And then you have those people who are well-meaning, good-natured folks who want to believe something so badly that they have somehow made themselves do it, despite all of the evidence usually being to the contrary. One of the more fascinating and complex examples of the scammers, the true scammers, is the case of James Hydrick. Heydrich was a guy who was really into Bruce Lee and martial arts, and was at least pretty good at whipping ass, and even owned a gym where he trained people in the ways of whipping ass. And he also claimed he could teach you how to use psychic powers and mystical forces to turn pages in phone books and spin pencils around with your mind.
21-year-old martial arts expert, now living in Salt Lake, walked into the Salt Lake Tribune and said, "I can move objects without touching them." Reporters and editors, skeptics and believers together watched as James Hydrick did, in fact, move pencils, turn pages in a notebook, and flutter the leaves of a plant.
which is an activity that is somewhat related to being in a training facility. Who wouldn't want to be able to spin a pencil around with their mind? Heydrich took his act to a much bigger stage than his training facility, and eventually ran into James Randi and his standard of testing. In an epic showdown on national television, and well, let's just say the mystical forces from beyond could not be called upon to help Mr. Heydrich out on that particular evening.
Now, you claim to have psychic powers, don't you?
Yes, I do.
What are you going to do, James?
I'm going to move a pencil for you.
With just psychic powers?
Just psychic powers.
Very well. Is it true that you can also turn the pages of this telephone directory?
Yes, it is.
The amazing Randi maintains that you did not use psychic power, but that it was trickery. And he is prepared to pay you $10,000 if you can do it using psychic power.
My theory, as yet unproven, of course, is that it's accomplished simply by blowing, though rather cleverly, I must admit, done. Now, what I have here is particles of a white plastic, which, when given a good puff, good heavy puff of air, will, I think, rather conclusively show whether or not blowing is a method accomplished. Now, it will not, perhaps, in some way differentiate between genuine psychic power and actual blowing, but it certainly should be very interesting indeed to see what now occurs.
James?
Ready. The styrofoam and the lights form electricity which pulls the page. Look. The static is going to still be here because of the foam. See, that's
well,
what I'm saying.
It is the opinion of the judges that there is not enough static formed by the foam to be a problem. So, under the conditions agreed upon, it would seem that now you should at least try with psychic power to turn the page of the telephone directory, James.
Okay.
It's not going to turn for you?
No, it isn't. This isn't a magician's trick. I can't just come up, bang, bang, and it's over. I have to be to where I can work with something small and then big, you know, to build up my own self.
Now, you have heard what James's explanation is. Do you have any comment to make on that?
Bob, the comment very briefly is that I have gone through many hundreds of these tests with many hundreds of people who claim to have psychic powers. And quite frankly, it's more or less the same story every time. When a simple, direct, very uncomplicated protocol is used and the control is applied, the psychic forces don't seem to be present, if indeed they are ever present at all.
Heydrich was later exposed as a trickster and eventually gave a full confession. He deliberately tricked people because it made him feel powerful. In fact, Heydrich honed his skills in artful deception while serving time in prison. I've actually read several reports claiming that prison guards were generally afraid of Heydrich and his mystical abilities. Many of them were convinced that he had unexplainable powers, and that he could use them to snuff out any one of them at any time. So yeah, the man had trickery skills. At first, upon hearing all of this, you may be thinking what a terrible asshole this guy is. But then you hear about his past and how he grew up.
A lot of my pain, like I'd get pain, like in fact, I got scars all over my stomach when I was young. I'd think about going to the moon. And I remember when my dad, he'd tie me to a barrel so I couldn't run, and he'd take a, you ever seen those little ping pong balls? He'd take two of those things, stick them in my mouth and tie my head, and he'd whoop me so I couldn't holler loud because he'd be drunk. We couldn't eat in the house because we were dogs. We were her pet dogs. In fact, my name was Spot because I had chicken pox. They used to call me Spot, and they wouldn't let Spot in the house.
James said that they called him Spot because they wouldn't feed him inside; they'd feed him outside. Is that true?
That's true. Well, at one time, when they were staying with me, he was crying in the middle of the night, and his mother got up and she took a rick-rack paddle, and the end that you hold in your hand, she took it and put it up his rectum.
Yeah, that happened. The fact that he has now confessed gives you hope. Maybe he will turn things around and everything will get much better for James Hydrick. I mean, he seems to be a pretty likable guy. Well, hell, maybe he'll even join up with the good guys and help fight the BS instead of make the BS. But then you go and check up on him because you're making a YouTube video and want to find out how things have gone for him, and then you see this right here. Yes, that is an article describing Mr. James Allen Heydrich being convicted of 5 counts of child molestation. Damn it, Jim! You went and did the one thing that precludes me from being in your corner. From what I can tell, to this day, James is still locked up in a mental hospital in California. But apparently they do let him run his own Facebook page from his hospital room. So let's take a look at the Facebook page of a convicted child molester and see what sort of imagery we find. Oh God, what? That banner image at the top of his Facebook page is a crowd of children watch him do one of his tricks? The hell, man. A truly disappointing level of oversight on display here at the old mental hospital.
Tricked the whole world.
Okay, so that story did not end well. I guess that just goes to show you sometimes, while strolling down memory lane, you take a few bad turns and you end up running out of gas. In the bad part of town, with no money, and a dead cell phone battery. I think that is pretty much what just happened to us right here. That's the equivalent anyway. So, sorry about that. The video is now over. Thanks for watching, or well, sorry for watching. Peace?